Welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the most pressing issues of our time. Today, we tackle a topic that has been gaining momentum and sparking intense debates across the globe. We're going to explore the emerging issue of inequality and why it's becoming a critical problem in our society today. The growing wealth gap. The world's 2,153 billionaires hold more wealth than the 4.6 billion people who make up 60% of the global population, Oxfam, 2021. Such a staggering wealth disparity highlights the growing inequality that is plaguing our world. Over the past few decades, the rich have been getting richer, while the poor struggled to break free from the cycle of poverty. This economic inequality has far-reaching consequences, affecting access to education, healthcare, and opportunities. Economic inequality can be attributed to various factors, including globalization, technological advancements, and tax policies favoring the wealthy. Globalization has led to the relocation of industries to countries with lower labor costs, leaving many without employment opportunities. As companies seek to maximize profits, they often exploit labor forces in developing nations, further contributing to the wealth gap. Technological advancements, while advancing society in numerous ways, have also contributed to inequality. Automation and artificial intelligence have replaced many traditional jobs, leaving large segments of the population unemployed or underemployed. At the same time, those with the skills and resources to leverage new technologies have been able to reap enormous profits, widening the gap between the technologically literate and those left behind. Moreover, tax policies in various countries have favored the wealthy, allowing them to accumulate and protect their wealth. Tax loopholes and offshore accounts have become prevalent tools for the rich to minimize their contributions to society. This exacerbates the wealth gap, as funds that could be used for social welfare programs are instead hoarded by the super-rich. Education disparities. Education, often considered the great equalizer, has become a key battleground in the fight against inequality. As we embrace the information age, access to quality education has never been more crucial. However, unequal access to education remains a significant issue, perpetuating the gap between the haves and have-nots. Studies show that students from low-income families have limited access to quality education resources, including well-equipped schools, qualified teachers, and extracurricular programs. This disparity hinders their chances of achieving upward mobility. Moreover, as the cost of higher education rises, student loans become a burden, creating a financial barrier to accessing college for many. During the pandemic, the shift to online learning exacerbated educational inequalities. Students from disadvantaged backgrounds face challenges due to the lack of access to computers and the internet. This homework gap further widened the achievement gap, as students from wealthier families have the means to continue their education remotely. Furthermore, educational disparities are often compounded by systemic issues, such as racial discrimination and biased curricula. Minority students and those from marginalized communities often face barriers to educational success, perpetuating the cycle of inequality for generations. Healthcare disparities. Another critical area affected by inequality is healthcare. Access to quality medical services and health insurance can make all the difference between life and death. Sadly, the current state of healthcare further exacerbates the divide between the rich and the poor. Healthcare inequalities stem from various sources, such as unequal distribution of healthcare facilities, limited access to preventative care, and financial barriers to medical treatment. In many regions, affluent neighborhoods have easy access to top-notch healthcare facilities and specialists, while economically disadvantaged communities are underserved, often relying on overcrowded and underfunded clinics. Lack of access to preventative care means that health issues in disadvantaged communities are often detected at later stages, when treatment is more expensive and less effective. Additionally, the absence of health insurance leaves many unable to afford critical medical procedures, leading to higher mortality rates among the poor. Unequal access to mental health services is also a pressing concern. Stressors related to poverty, discrimination, and lack of opportunities can have profound effects on mental well-being. Unfortunately, mental health services are often not accessible or affordable for those who need them the most. Gender inequality. Inequality is not solely an economic issue. It also takes on a gendered form, with women facing persistent discrimination in various spheres of life. Gender inequality remains a significant concern in many parts of the world. Women continue to face wage gaps, glass ceilings in the workplace, and disproportionate responsibilities for caregiving. The gender pay gap, where women earn less than men for the same work, contributes to women's overall lower lifetime earnings and financial security. Furthermore, women's underrepresentation in leadership positions limits their influence in decision-making processes, perpetuating a cycle of male-dominated policies that may not fully address the needs of women and marginalized communities. In developing countries, women often bear the burden of unpaid care work, spending hours each day on household chores and caregiving responsibilities. This time-consuming work leaves them with fewer opportunities to pursue education and paid employment, further limiting their economic and social mobility. The digital age has brought about new challenges for gender equality as well. Women are more likely to experience online harassment and cyberbullying, affecting their mental well-being and online presence. Closing the gender gap in digital literacy and ensuring safe online spaces is essential for fostering equality in the digital era. Environmental justice. The issue of inequality also intersects with environmental concerns. Those who contribute the least to environmental degradation often bear the brunt of its consequences. Environmental injustice disproportionately impacts marginalized communities, such as people of color and those living in poverty. They often reside in areas with higher pollution levels and lack of access to clean water and green spaces, leading to adverse health effects and further economic hardship. In many cases, these communities are located near industries or waste disposal sites, exposing them to hazardous substances that affect their health and quality of life. Moreover, they often lack the resources and political influence to advocate for environmental protections and sustainable policies, leaving them vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. Addressing environmental justice requires recognizing the link between social and environmental inequality. Policies must consider the needs and rights of marginalized communities to ensure that the transition to a sustainable future is fair and inclusive for all. With the mounting evidence of the consequences of inequality, many activists, organizations, and policymakers are calling for change. To address inequality effectively, we must tackle its root causes head-on. This includes implementing progressive tax policies, investing in education and healthcare for all, and promoting equal opportunities regardless of gender, race, or socioeconomic background. Governments and corporations must prioritize the well-being of their citizens and employees over profit margins. This involves closing tax loopholes, raising the minimum wage, and providing affordable housing and healthcare to ensure that everyone has access to the essentials needed to thrive. Additionally, we must invest in early childhood education and quality K-12 schooling to ensure that every child receives a solid foundation for their future. Expanding access to affordable higher education and vocational training will equip individuals with the skills needed to compete in the job market, reducing economic disparities. Empowering women in the workforce and promoting policies that enable work-life balance will help close the gender pay gap and create a more inclusive work environment. Environmental justice can be achieved by supporting renewable energy initiatives, promoting sustainable practices, and involving marginalized communities in decision-making processes that affect their environment. CONCOLUSION. As we conclude this deep dive into the emerging issue of inequality, we're reminded that creating a fair and just society requires collective action. By raising awareness, supporting organizations that champion equality, and holding our leaders accountable, we can pave the way for a more inclusive and sustainable future. Thank you for joining us today. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video to spread awareness about this crucial issue. Together, let's strive for a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.